Judge Joe Brown.
That's our dude, son. You know the leather peacoat?
You know he do, on a leather couch.
Judge Joe Brown, been a while, man. Welcome back.
I'm here. The judge is in the house.
I don't want to get your take on. I guess we could start with Don Lemon. How you feel about him and the protesters storming into the church?
He made a nice case against himself under federal law. I think he's got some problems. That's going to be 18 United States Code Section 111. And that's going to be quite interesting. So he's being cute about it, but I think it's going to backfire. They're used to somebody looking the other way and instead of enforcing the law. So I think it's time that the sheriff rode into town. And I think Mr. Lemon is going to be restrained when he goes out of town. But that latest little stunt in that church was ridiculous.
You saw that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's when they ran into the church. If y'all don't know about it, Don Lemon. Well, he didn't run into. He was supposed to be reporting, but a group of protesters in Minnesota ran into a church
In Minneapolis,
Minnesota, and they ran into a church, and they basically just got mad because one of the churchgoers was an actual ICE agent.
Yes.
And for that reason, they harassed everybody and started protesting and scared the kids, and everybody ran out.
Children, people running out the church. They didn't know what was going on.
And Don Lemon was just standing there asking questions.
With a pair of chaps on,
And
with his
dick
butt
breath.
out.
And dick breath on everybody.
Like it was inappropriate?
Yes, very inappropriate. You have a right to demonstrate, but the demonstrations beforehand, they keep referring back to the civil rights era, 65 years ago. Those things took place in public facilities and on the streets, and by design, they were orderly. The people that got out of order were the law enforcement types that were representing Jim Crow elsewhere in the country, not the protesters. And that kind of thing did not happen until the mid-late 1960s, when you started getting the anti-war discriminations and a certain amount of militancy where the object was to create public disorder, chaos, and violence rather than having peaceful demonstrations. They kind of got it wrong. So this was a church. They had no business disrupting a public assembly,
At all.
religious proceedings, a number of other things. They broke some local laws and some federal ones, so there are consequences.
If I'm not mistaken, son, I believe one of the coordinators and organizers of that of that protest was arrested. It was a black lady. They locked her up
From that particular protest?
from that particular protest.
I wish black people stay out of this whole ICE situation. Black people, stay away from ICE. They got nothing to do with you.
Nothing.
And people understood when you do things, you have to pay the piper for what you put on to play.
You personally, how you feel about Don Lemon?
I don't like him, never have.
What you think he thought about Don Lemon?
Son wasn't ready, son. I was mid-gulp. Pause.
He looked like he could be his grandson, though.
He's not what I call a conscientious person. He's always, shall we say, in the moment. Whatever seems to enable him to sensationalize something or capitalize on something he does with no apparent concern for the ethics of the situation. But that was CNN. I guess maybe his husband will make him feel better when he gets arrested or put the money up for his bond.
Yeah, I know Nicki Minaj, she called out Don Lemon and they started going at it.
It's always like, and that's another reason. I'm not saying that you can't be that way and be a black activist, but just, and then you got a white husband.
He does have a white
So
husband.
you literally getting by the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, by the white man.
He called him a cocksucker.
Isn't that kind of what they do with that kind of activity?
What? I missed
the
it.
money up for his bond.
Yeah, I know Nicki Minaj, she called out Don Lemon and they started going at it. She called him a cocksucker.
Isn't that kind of what they do with that kind of activity?
She called a CD.
Oh,
He said he be seeing the D. He's like, Judge Joe Brown was like, right.
I guess that's pretty good.
That's an adjective, a perfect adjective.
Yeah, to describe Don Lemon.
I mean, that's the name of the game, isn't it? One of the things. I thought that was quite popular, you
Right,
know,
shouldn't bother him.
with that. Yeah.
He said, I thought it was quite popular. In fact, like, why are you so mad?
Right. What's the problem?
Right.
Anyway, Don Lemon is kind of, he's amusing. The only problem is he's riding on a wave that is about to subside, and that wave was when that side of things got a free ride and promotion, and anybody to the contrary was censored badly. This is something I'm not used to. I mean, I've been around for quite a bit of time, been full grown, able to buy whiskey, vote, and all that other stuff for more than half century. And before that, way before I was even breathing, when I researched the matter, and for most of my lifetime, nobody's ever gotten on you in America for thoughts or discussion of concepts.
Right.
They might have gotten on you for being pornographic about it, obscene about it, but not the concepts. Nowadays, you can have full frontal, anything you want to show, everything graphic, any kind of language, but you can't discuss certain concepts, and
Right.
that's just very un-American. That's not cool. That
Yeah, that's
leads
not
to
American at all.
censorship.
That's real shit he's saying.
Oh, no doubt.
Because you used to could say whatever you want. You know, like you said, you can't be,
Yeah.
vulgar and all other stuff.
Right.
Shit, the Ku Klux Klan used to come on several TV shows
Absolutely.
on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Jerry Springer, Donahue, they come on and say what they had to say.
Like certain people, we know it's 2 groups. We know it's 2 groups right now. We're not going to mention. You can't say nothing about them.
Yeah,
you
but you used to be able to talk about it. Like whatever you had going on or what you were thinking, it wasn't illegal to think a thought. That's how it feels like it is now.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that.
And
alone.
a type of censorship associated with a certain kind of socialism, National Socialist Workers Party type socialism. And where do we
You know who they is?
Mm-hmm.
The N. I no, is it I? You know what I'm saying?
that from? We know it from its acronym, which in Deutsch, Sprachen Sie Deutsch, ja? In German,
like sie Deutsch.
Yeah.
Deutsch. Hey, listen.
Oh, what?
it is NAZI.
You know what I'm
Those
saying?
letters stand for National Socialist Workers Party. And we know that as, and that's where we're going. It's a form of fascist oppression.
We ain't say that.
is
Right,
being
take it easy.
Judge said that. Whoa.
It's from a judge. It's got to be legal.
Yeah, and he old.
postured and fluffed off as though the other side is the one that's engaged in the pro-oppressive activity because they resist it. Well, I've been banned from Facebook permanently, and I've never posted anything because they apparently objected to what I was posting on X.
Damn.
X won't tell me why they suspended me, except that I'm supposed to have had numerous complaints, but I've never got one.
What you be talking
Only
about?
thing I can think of is I had a set to with Grok a time or two, or Grok. And what wound up happening is I won. So I guess maybe that's retaliation.
So we got in the beef with Grok with the artificial intelligence?
Son, I like Judge Brown, son.
Yeah,
and
first
I'm
of
gonna
all-
tell you, I think he got that thing on. He one of them old dudes got that thing on him, man.
Yes, he do.
At all time, he got shooter glasses on. Okay,
For no reason.
for no reason.
But still, I still don't understand how he got into a beef with Grok. What is these? Grok is the artificial intelligence on Twitter.
Probably said something.
Let's see what.
Probably said something about
Only
him.
thing I can
got a
think
robot
of is
girl
I
at the
had
house.
a set to with Grok a time or two, or Grok. And what wound up happening is I won. So I guess maybe that's retaliation. They cut out 1.1 accounts one weekend. I got cut out first. They were saying I was an imposter, but me, I'm talking about it right now.
Oh, they probably just didn't think he was a real Judge Joe Brown. They said, this can't be Judge Joe Brown.
No, that's the real Judge Joe Brown.
Especially if you only seen him on the bench. And
now you're saying with a leather pea coat on.
Talking that talk, because he had talking.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, I was me.
Terrible. Hopefully you get your accounts back, man. But I do want to backtrack. I want to go back to Nicki Minaj. How you feel about the backlash she got for speaking at the Turning Point event?
Let's put it this way. Sometimes people forget that the general public likes to be told what's right and wrong. That's why people used to go to church. The preacher stood up there and he preached about sin and wrongdoing. Now churches never talk about sin. They talk about belief because they don't want the collection plate to be too empty. They like it not to jingle, but to have the sound of swishing paper in there, checks or cash money, or pledges. And that's good for business. It's called pulpit pimping. Somebody's interested in a new car or upscaling the house that they can afford to get from the pulpit subsidies that their congregation can't afford because of high interest rates. So there is that. And when somebody speaks out, you get this, is it a big uproar or is it a big lie where it's just a few people on the editorial board who empathize with the position being attacked, who want to claim many people are upset by what the celebrity said? It's like, no, there aren't. It's a propaganda tactic. I studied it back at UCLA almost 60 years ago now. And it is a tactic wherein you claim that many, many people support this or many, many people are against that, when actually very few care one way or the other, and usually a lot are negative to the proposition you're trying to push. So it's just a tactic, and that can bring you back to, are you looking at the National Socialist Workers' Party revived from 1933 when they took control in Germany?
Okay, Judge Joe with his sound mind.
Dropping some jewels. We see you, baby.
And at it again quite a few years later in 2026. I'm not a great fan of hers because some of what she says is too raw, and I think it sets up the wrong imagery for young adolescent females.
He ain't with that wet ass pussy.
Stop, son. He more like on an Eartha Kitt type of time.
Right.
He
like his bitches purring.
Yeah.
That's what Judge Joe Brown
man. He didn't say that, man.
He went with the big ass baby suits they used to wear back in the days.
The big one piece,
big one piece purr
with the polka dots.
Right. That's a woman. Right? You look at her, she got the big jaw baby.
Around with Diane Carroll.
Yeah.